August 19th, 1953. Tehran is burning. Tanks are in the streets. And a democratically elected prime minister is about to vanish because two Western spy agencies just rewrote history in real time. They called it Operation Ajax. The files stayed secret for 60 years, until now. It began with oil, but it wasn't really about oil. It was about control. For decades, Britain's Anglo-Iranian Oil Company treated Iran like a gas station with a flag. They took the profits. They left the poverty. Then Mossadegh did something colonial powers were not supposed to allow. He said the oil belonged to Iranians, and in London, that wasn't politics. That was rebellion. 1951, Iran. A frail, pajama-wearing lawyer named Mohammad Mossadegh steps into the prime minister's office. The people love him because he does the unthinkable. He nationalizes Iranian oil. For decades, Britain's Anglo-Iranian Oil Company had taken almost everything. Iran got pennies. Mossadegh said, no more. Britain's answer? A total economic stranglehold. They blockaded the ports. They froze Iran's money. Oil stopped flowing. Factories closed. People starved. Mossadegh didn't blink. He broke diplomatic relations. He told the world, this is our oil. But 2,000 miles away, in Washington and London, panic set in. The British were broke. The Americans were terrified of communism, and a new president had just taken office, Dwight Eisenhower. Behind closed doors, the Dulles brothers, one running the CIA, one running the State Department, made a decision. They would not negotiate. They would remove him. They called the plan Operation Ajax in Washington, Operation Boot in London, a perfect marriage of desperation. CIA officer Donald Wilbur, an archaeologist by day, sat down with MI6's Norman Derbyshire in a Beirut safehouse. In a Beirut safehouse, under a slow ceiling fan, they drafted a blueprint for chaos, not an invasion, something quieter. They would turn Iran against itself. They would manufacture outrage, forge headlines, hire mobs, whisper to generals, and make it look spontaneous. If it worked, no fingerprints. If it failed, plausible deniability. That was the beauty of it. A reluctant king. The target? Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the young Shah of Iran, a playboy monarch who preferred fast cars to hard choices. They needed his signature on two royal decrees: fire Mossadegh, install their man, General Fazlollah Zahedi. They recruited the Rashidian brothers, three Iranian brothers on the MI6 payroll for years. Their job, buy everyone: clerics, newspaper editors, generals, even street thugs. Kermit Roosevelt, grandson of Teddy Roosevelt, CIA's man in Tehran, flew in with a suitcase of cash, over $1 million in today's money. He called it the most delicate operation I've ever handled. But here's what almost nobody knew at the time, and what the CIA would deny for decades. The whole thing was about to blow up in their faces. Night 1, Colonel Nematollah Nasiri marches into Mossadegh's house with the Shah's decree. Prime Minister, you're fired. Mossadegh smiles, then arrests him on the spot. Within hours, the streets belong to Mossadegh's supporters. The plotters are rounded up. The Shah, terrified, flees to Baghdad, then Rome. He's literally packing suitcases while his throne collapses. Back in Washington, panic. The operation is dead. Kermit Roosevelt is ordered to leave Iran immediately. He refuses. Instead, he doubles down. Roosevelt should have left. Instead, he stayed and rolled the dice. Money changed hands in back alleys. Imams were told Mossadegh was anti-Islam. Newspapers printed lies by sunrise. Men who didn't care about politics suddenly cared about cash, and slowly the streets began to shift, not with ideology, but with noise. By the third morning, Tehran didn't know what was real anymore, and that confusion was the weapon. They attack mosques and blame Mossadegh. They print fake newspapers claiming the prime minister is a Soviet puppet. They buy off more army units. Then, August 19th, dawn, tanks roll. Paid crowds scream, "Long live the Shah!" Radio Tehran is seized at gunpoint. General Zahedi's voice crackles across Iran. "I am your new prime minister." Mossadegh's house is surrounded. Tanks fire. The prime minister escapes over a back wall in his pajamas, only to be arrested days later. 72 hours. That's all it took. The impossible comeback was complete. Kermit Roosevelt later wrote in a memo, "I did not leave Tehran until I was certain the coup had succeeded." Mossadegh was tried in a military court, sentenced to 3 years in prison, then house arrest until his death in 1967. The Shah returned, No longer a constitutional monarch, but an absolute ruler backed by American guns and money. In 1954, the oil flowed again, but this time the contracts were rewritten in English. American companies carved out 40%, Britain kept its share, Iran got revenue, but it lost leverage. And the Shah? He built a secret police force, Savak, trained with CIA guidance, prisons filled, opposition disappeared. The coup didn't just change a government, it changed how power would be enforced. The CIA wrote its own secret history in 1954. 200 pages, stamped top secret. Title, Overthrow of Premier Mossadegh. Author, Donald Wilbur. For 60 years, the agency denied almost everything. Then, in 2013 and 2017, they declassified the files. The documents are devastating. They admit, in black and white, that the coup was carried out under CIA direction as an act of U.S. foreign policy, conceived and approved at the highest levels. The men who planned Ajax believed they had won. They had protected Western oil. They had stopped communism. They had kept the Shah on the throne. But history doesn't stay buried. 26 years later, in 1979, Iranians rose up again. This time, they didn't just want their oil back. They wanted revenge for 1953. They overthrew the Shah. They took American hostages. They shouted, "Death to America," a slogan born in the streets of 1953. And that distrust, it never left. Every time you see headlines about Iran's nuclear program, every time sanctions tighten, every time nuclear talks collapse, every time an Iranian child grows up hearing that America once chose a king over their vote, the echo of 1953 gets louder. Because for Iran, this wasn't Cold War strategy, it was betrayal, and betrayal doesn't expire. Every time another generation of Iranians remembers why they don't trust the West, they are remembering Operation Ajax. One coup, 72 hours, and the Middle East is still paying the price. If you want the next hidden chapter, hit subscribe, because some secrets are too big to stay classified forever.